On April 24th, 2012, was the day that my life changed forever. Um, that was the day that I first heard God speak to me. I grew up in a great home. My parents were wonderful. They provided everything that I needed and more. They treated, me and my brother wonderfully, and everything was great, in my family life in that aspect. But I always just felt a little different. I felt inadequate, just lonely. I felt like I didn't really have much to offer to the world. I found it hard making friends. I didn't really have any special hobbies or interests, and I just found it hard to relate to people. And I thought if I kept those feelings inside, or I didn't let people know about that they would just go away, and I would kind of grow out of that. But that's not the case. Those feelings followed me around my whole life, and it was during my senior year of high school that I got a new group of friends and started partying and drinking a lot and experimenting with drugs. And I realized that if I did those things, all those feelings of loneliness and sadness went away, and I could be outgoing and I could make friends, and I fit in with a certain crowd, even though that's not the crowd you would want to fit in with. So the more I did those things, the more I felt I had to do those things to be the person I thought I wanted to be. And eventually I moved out of the house and moved in with some friends, and it was just like one big party. And I found myself with a heroin addiction. That turned me into just a monster. I started lying and stealing, manipulating anybody I could to get what I wanted, alienating my friends and family, and just, I was completely void of any emotion, any feelings. I was just like a shell, a zombie, walking around. But having no feelings was better than feeling bad, so I continued to do it. And eventually checked myself into rehab, went through that program. I stayed sober for about 6 months, and then I relapsed. And at that point, I started using again, and everything was, 4 times as worse than it was before, and I didn't really care anymore about keeping it a secret or, sneaking around, and I just kept making mistake after mistake and just screwing up. And then it was that day, April 24th, 2012, I had drove down to Detroit to pick up some drugs, and I left empty-handed. Things didn't work out the way I planned them to. And I'm driving home, I'm on I-75, and all of a sudden I can't accelerate anymore. The car is not working, and I made it over to the shoulder safely and tried starting the car, wouldn't start, tried Googling what could be wrong with it, how could I fix it, and nothing was working. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what do I do? And the first thought is, well, call a tow truck and get the car towed home. I can lie to my parents, tell them it broke down, somewhere around, town, and borrow my mom's car, go pick up the drugs I intended to do, earlier in the day, and then continue on with my life. And it was at that moment where I didn't realize it then, but it was God speaking to me saying, what are you going to do after that? That's going to get you till tonight, and then, where are you going to be tomorrow? I had $150 cash, that's all I had. I had no money in a checking account, savings account. I had nothing left to pawn off because I've done that already. I was at the end of the road, and I was just, I had nowhere to go. I've run out of options, and I sat in the car for like 3 hours thinking, what do I do? You know, do I keep going and end up in jail or worse? I don't know. Or do I fess up? Do I, call somebody? Do I go back to rehab? Do I try it again? I was just totally crushed. I didn't, I let myself down. I knew I'd let everybody else down. And I didn't know what to do. I was scared. And, that voice came back and said, just surrender. Give it up. You have no more options in this life. And so I called my mom and I told her, I'd relapsed and that I needed help. I needed a ride home. And I had booked a stay at a rehab that night I was going. So she picked me up and she took me to this rehab place and they checked me in and they give you a physical when you're admitted first. And so the nurse is doing this physical and talking to me and she asks me, "Are you pregnant?" I said, "No, I shouldn't be, So she gave me a pregnancy test and it came back positive. So not only had I just called and told my parents that I had relapsed, like 4 hours earlier, I had to call them back and tell them I can't stay in rehab because I'm pregnant. And it was just the most embarrassing moment of my life and I was mortified and had no idea what I was going to do next. And luckily, my parents were there for me, my family and friends were there for me, and most of all, God was there for me. He was there every step of the way. Without Him, I would have never made it out of that. I just was so thankful that I got into a rehab place and that accept pregnant women. And I did the program 30 days, and then I kept doing the meetings and started going to church after I got out, and my life just began to kind of come together. And it's been almost 2 years later today, and I'm just a completely different person. I just feel like free. I feel relaxed. I don't have to worry about measuring up to everybody else anymore. And God has given me the best gift of all. He's given me my son, and He gave me a second chance at life. And I'm doing everything in my power to take advantage of that and do something good with that. And I can finally today say that I'm good at something. I'm a mom and I'm good at it. And it feels so good to be able to say that and believe it and just feel in control of my life. I'm not in control of my life. God's in control of my life, and that's how it feels good. And I've been blessed with an opportunity to do a kids ministry here at Cross Point, and I just feel so blessed to be able to be a part of that because I have always loved kids, and I think the kids here are amazing, and they have so many opportunities in this world. And going through what I went through, I feel like I can lend a helping hand and kind of guide these kids into the right path and make them feel good about themselves. And, I'm leading them on a journey, with God, and they'll forever have that in their lives. And to know that I was lucky enough to be part of that is just an amazing feeling. And I could have never done that without God in my life because, who knows if I'd even be alive today, honestly. And I'm just forever grateful and thankful for, the work God's done in me. And I can just feel every day I just become a better person because of Him. And, He's just amazing. So that was, I took that first step with God and I trusted in Him. And He hasn't let me down yet. So